Moin moin and hello ladies and gentlemen, Donspektor here. Today I have a pair of IEMs here, but we will not be looking at this pair of IEMs, no. Actually today is another tip review time, and we are taking a look today at the ePro Ear-Tip, which are claimed patented horn-shaped ear tips. And yes, what these things can or can't do, we will be discussing in today's video. And yeah, first some general things. I've taken a look at a few other horn-shaped tips before. Some of them more expensive, some of them less expensive, and also some I want to say even for not so horn-shaped but still similarly shaped ones. Spoiler, the S&S tip here. And yeah, generally horn-shaped do things with the sound, but they don't have to. That depends again how you insert it, how you use them, blah blah blah. But yeah, the ePro though are an special category here, because I quote the page of the ePro now. ePro ear tips are supposed to make sound more clearly, enhance specific timbre, increase sound quality, convert transmission of high-pitched sounds to what? They don't specify, like just they say it like that. And then hold the high frequency through transmission? Question mark. Also don't know what that means. And yeah, all of this is done by their patented horn-shaped technology and innovative materials that increase the sound quality and elastic extension. So there's a lot of marketing bullshit here, and the last marketing bullshit word is, of course, it's black and it's matte, so we have to throw in graphene. Don't ask how, don't ask why. Like, how do you even coat this in graphene that actually would do shit and not just stay on there as small particles? Don't know, don't care. That is ePro. Like, don't ask these questions here. And yeah, price-wise, well, these are not that expensive. I think they clock in at like $14 for 3 pairs, or about like 4.7 per pair. It's like medium expensive in the grand scheme of things. S&S tips are roughly the same. ST35 are a bit cheaper with $3 per pair. Complete foam tips like 5 to 8 per pair. And Zedner ear fit are like 6.5. And yeah, normal spin fit about like 7.5, similar to Final E. And on the last, on the top of the crowd here would be silicon, liquid silicon ear tips with like $9 per pair, or crystal tips with 9.5, or Asla crystal, which is absolutely horn-shaped. And so yeah, this clocks in at 9.5 or 12.5, sorry, so definitely doesn't get more expensive than this. And then after we looked at the general things, let's take a look at comfort. And I have to be honest with you guys, I would not describe the ePro as much as of a horn-shaped tip as I would describe it as a more cylindrical tip. You can clearly see this in comparison with the S&S tip here. Yeah, this is definitely more in cylinder than it is an actual horn shape, which would be something like this. You can, I'm not sure what's visible here, but this one definitely on the inside is much more horn-shaped than the ePro here. Like, this is a bit horn-shaped, but really just a bit. So yeah, generally comfort-wise, I also would rate this much closer to the S&S tip than I would rate it to the crystal or an other horn-shaped tip. Also here, the spring, those definitely also have like a funnel shape like that, so horn as well. So I wouldn't really compare it to those. And as in kind of like, I want to say barrel-shaped tip here, this actually is pretty comfortable. Like, it's also nicely small with 9.99 millimeters. Could also have rounded that up to 10 in the description, but hey. And yeah, it also comes in M and L, M being 12.32 and L being 14.49. So here a slight improvement for them would be offer an MS and SM option, which are between those. So you have a bit more variance for different ear canals. Because this definitely is on the smaller side and should fit most small ear canals. But maybe even M would be a bit too big for medium ear canals, so something between there would be nice to see. Yeah, lengthwise though, this is definitely on the longer side of tips. Not sure what's visible here, so you can see it's definitely even a bit longer than the S&S tip. And let's get the spring in here. Quite a bit longer than the spring ear tip, so it's on the longer side here, about 10 millimeters I noted. So I cannot recommend the ePro on longer nozzle ear IEMs just because it will poke too far into your canal. My favorite here would be like short to medium short IEMs like the AJ07M. There definitely is a shorter nozzle, and this one works best with those in my opinion. Medium-long nozzles like the KZPR2, which I review maybe next week, also works for that somewhat. Comfort is definitely good, but yeah, because the nozzle itself is too long, the isolation does suffer a bit, and yeah, maybe also the security of a new year. But generally, these are pretty comfortable tips, and I think I would actually rate them above the S&S tips, which sometimes gave me hot spots in my ear. That means in rough ranking, X-Elastic's most comfortable tip, followed by cut foam tips, followed by SpinFit, on the same level as liquid silicone ear tips, on the same level as ST35 tips, followed by ePro, followed by S&S, and then followed by crystal tips, and then last but not least, finally. Next chapter, let's quickly talk about noise isolation here. And yeah, here you can see this is a rather thin shaped or thin tip. And yeah, the S&S definitely is on the thicker side in the material wise. So yeah, this definitely does not isolate that well. And you notice that in real life, totally. So yeah, unfortunately, with this tip, you only get in medium isolation. My artificial scale, it's maybe maximum and 5 or 5.5 out of 10. Where 0 is or 1 is a really bad silicone tip with really thin, and 10 would be a really nice foam tip. So it's not great, but also not horrible. Sorry for this cut, ladies and gentlemen. I actually changed accommodation in the meantime and now living completely opposite part of the city. So yeah, sorry, I also do not have a nice flat or clean surface at the moment. So I cannot show you more video details here. So sorry, from now on you will have to live with some screenshots or photos. But yeah, let's go after we talked about the noise isolation, about shaping sound. And again, as usual, I will be talking about two different parts here. First is subjective and second is objective parts of the sound. And of course, I'll be starting with subjective. And yeah, ePro claim they have patented horn-shaped technology, which kind of is bogus because there are quite a few more horn-shaped tips out there. Spring or crystal tips directly come to mind here. So yeah, it's not really unique in that sense. Although these other tips are more horn-shaped than the ePro, I have to say here. And judging from my experience with horn-shaped tips, they kind of deteriorate bass quality. And I have to report here, I didn't notice much of that to my ear. Again, if you compare this to very narrow outlet tips like the Final E, definitely they have less bass here or less perceived bass. But compared to crystal, they have definitely more bass, and I think they're more in line with medium wide outlet tips. Good example here would be the liquid silicone tips. Those to my ear are pretty similar here. But again, these are also my benchmark tip or something like this. So yeah, I would always compare them with that. So I have to say in a blind test, I'm not sure if I would be able to distinguish these tips from, for instance, the liquid silicone tips, just because I perceive them pretty similarly. And then we come to objective here, and yeah, I will again show you measurements done with the LZ-A7 with the ePro tips, and also on the H40. And yeah, if you compare them directly to the S&S tips, which are similar in shape and similar in outlet diameter, we're really close to that. Yeah, pure graph-wise, you might say, yeah, there are some peaks and dips between 7 and 9K that deviate about 1 and maybe 3 dB at 10K. Yeah, you're correct, these are measurable, but I'm not sure if you will be able to hear them, honestly, yeah. Especially one at 10K, the coupler is not really that accurate at this frequency or past that. So I would take this with a grain of salt, and yeah, this other small deviations here, it's so little, I'm not really able to pick it up with my ears subjectively, so I think don't worry about it. These are similar to other medium-wide outlet shape tips, and yeah, that's pretty much sums up how they sound to me. Next, let's talk about some additional factors, and yeah, I will be starting off as usual with the material, and it's really nothing special at all here. It's a random ass silicone. It doesn't feel nice and overly squishy. It doesn't conform that well. It doesn't really have any interesting properties to me, and on that matter, it's also not too slippery. It's just a random ass silicone tip where really there's nothing much to say here. That though means it should fit pretty much most ears, and it should also last relatively long, especially when we compare it to something like the X-Elastic tips, which definitely deteriorate and are not so good after wearing for a few months. However, I don't think the inner cylinder is not so stretchable. So I actually had problems fitting this on wide nozzle IEMs. AJ07M with a short but thick 6.4mm nozzle was okay. Like I could get it on that, but it was not comfy. And if I put it on variations, like it just doesn't. Like it doesn't go on that at all. So if you want to put it on wide nozzle IEMs, I think maybe look at an Advertisement. You really have to stretch it quite a bit to do that. And yeah, cleaning wise, because it's just random as silicone, right? You wipe it and it's fine. Like you could wash it with some soap, that's fine. I think disinfecting it will also be totally okay. Like really nothing to worry about. It's all totally okay. But I'm sorry, this brings me now to a problematic part of this review, because there's a huge problem here. The marketing BS around these. They claim, like even if you throw out all of these soundwise claims, what they do, but they claim that this is graphene inside. Like what? Like how do you even want to apply the graphene in a matter that it just would do something? If you just throw random small specks of graphene on here, it won't do anything. Like it doesn't build any coherent surface then. So how do you even want to coat it? And then how could you get it this cheap if it is real graphene coated? And then if I take a look inside and actually try to scratch it or to feel it, it is just silicone. There ain't no graphene here. Nothing at all. Like it's just random as silicone. And I really don't like to see this marketing bullshit around things. Like really, just remove all of it. Just say it's a horn-shaped tip. Like patented even, like I'm really sure this is not even patented. Just because it's such a bogus patent. Like it's slightly horn-shaped. Like what do you want to patent there? Like I'm absolutely sure like 500 tips before that existed that follow this exact thing. So yes, that means if you're trying to scratch it here with whatever sharp object you would have, you can. So don't try it. You might damage or even destroy the tip. I tried it with my fingernail and with an like key thing, and yeah, it is stretchable, and so definitely not graphene coated. So yes, pure BS. And this brings me partly to the conclusion. I cannot recommend this tip just because the marketing BS is so strong. Like really, they should reduce the BS by like 90%, say it's horn-shaped, it's like lightly cylindric, it's actually pretty comfy. You can say all of those. And then maybe if you like, I clearly disprove also all of the claims they had made in terms of audio. Like if I just measure this compared to other tips, it's not really different. So even those aside, but you can still say subjectively, you might be able to hear them. You still have the BS about the graphene coating. So I'm sorry, like I can't recommend with a good heart things that are this BS. But if you like if you subjectively, if you just want a cylindrical shaped tip that is just lightly horn shaped, actually pretty squishy, relatively comfortable, and yeah, also pretty good fitting, I think I can see a point why you still would want to buy them. Even for mine came just in a plastic box without anything else, or maybe this overused before, don't know. But I can see a point to be made that these could still be recommended if you want a tip like that. But I cannot recommend them. There's too much BS around here, and I don't want to support companies that spout this BS. Okay, yeah, that's it so far. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, if you have criticisms, if you have other tips that I should listen or try out, please leave a comment. And with this, Donspektor.